Hey, you've tuned into the GFree and Happy show. Tonight, we're talking about digestive health. Woohoo! With my guest, Katie Bauer. Are you paying attention to your gut? So stay tuned. Hey, welcome to the GFree and Happy show that happens every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Kathy, and I have been GFree and Happy for 5 years now. Tonight, my special guest is Katie Bauer. She is with nourishhealth.com, which I have on the screen right behind me. And she's a holistic nutrition therapist, clinical herbicist, and a therapeutic chef. Katie helps people unclog their vitality and bring their body back to life. How cool is that? She specializes in digestive health, anti-inflammatory diet, and lifestyle. So I'll be talking to her in just a few minutes. But first, episode 64 of the GFree and Happy show is brought to you by, and I'm going to switch to philosophy. The Philosophy superfood powders are blends of the very best plant-based material on earth. Sophie Jaffe, who is certified raw food nutritionist and raw food chef, created some of the best healing superfood powders out there on the market. She created 2 quick cleanses too, and you can find all of these on philosophy.com and say Kathy from GFree and Happy sent you. So let's bring on Katie now, and we're going to talk all about digestive health. Hey, Katie.
Hey, Kathy. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be joining you here again.
So I know, because it was almost like a year ago that I had you on before. And that was the first time you actually helped me, because I was searching through the internet looking for help with digestion because I was having problems back then. I can now say I'm on the mend, but because of you and your information a year ago helped me quite a bit. So I had to have you on again, because I follow you on all your emails you send out and all the things that are happening online. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started on talking about inflammatory and all that good stuff.
Hey, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Such nutritional nerds here.
Total nutritional nerds.
Yes.
Well, my story is kind of a strange one. Ever since I was a little child, I would wake up in the middle of the night and see things that were not there. So I would straight up hallucinate bugs, animals, and as I got older, I would hallucinate humans. I would wake up and I could walk past them and I would see things that weren't there. And I'm kind of lucky that my parents were scared to death of psychiatrists, because had they not, I probably would have been institutionalized for borderline schizophrenia.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would have been fed the diet that actually was causing the problem. So I went through, a master's degree, culinary school, herbalism school, and it was just something I lived with. I just kind of thought it was just who I was. I was like, okay, I see people.
Wasn't there like a movie about that? But I guess that was like see dead people, but yes, okay.
It's like I talking to them, they didn't talk back. I was like, okay, maybe they're not real. And so I was in nutrition school, and we were doing a cleanse. We were eliminating gluten. And I thought, well, that's silly. That's going to have absolutely no effect on me. I have perfect bowel movements. No diarrhea, no constipation, no smelly gas, only occasionally. And I really was like, okay, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to eliminate gluten and see what happens, but it's not going to have any effect. I don't have any digestive symptoms. So I eliminated gluten, and it was February, which was stout month at the Mountain Sun, a brewery in Boulder, and they make stouts, and I was very excited. And so I was like, okay, I've been off gluten for 2 months. I'm going to go get a stout. So I got a chocolate cherry stout, grilled cheese, a tomato and avocado sandwich on rye bread, and was pretty excited to be back on gluten. And that night, my night terrors returned in full effect, worse than they had ever been. And that next day, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I haven't had those since I went off gluten. And so, sure, yeah, gluten for me attacks my brain pretty much. It turns out that it very much affects my brain. And we know our digestive system and our nervous system is very connected, but to have it intimately connected with myself, I had no idea, because we tend to only associate gluten sensitivity, and gluten issues with our digestive gastrointestinal symptoms. But it's so much more than that.
Well, and I left my Grain Brain book in the other room because it's like my Bible right now. But so the Grain Brain totally was in on what happened to you. Affects your brain.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's fascinating because Perlmutter, the author of that book, he talks about how it can take a year for people that have neurological symptoms connected to gluten or other grains. It can take them going off of that for a year before they actually have the effect, like that they notice a change. Whereas, with digestive gastrointestinal symptoms, it usually only takes 1, maybe 2 months. So I think that's disheartening for a lot of people. I think a lot of people go off of gluten and nothing changes. Their migraines don't go away in a month. Their depression doesn't go away in a month. Anxiety, in my case, schizophrenia, doesn't go away in a month. And so they think that it's not gluten, but it can take up to a year for those neurological symptoms to go away. So I was really lucky that that they went away so quickly. And now if I get any amount of cross-contamination, I see people again.
I'm sorry, it's not a laughing matter, but it is. That's quite interesting to picture in your head that you're going to see people at night. Scary, kind of, too.
Very scary. A long time I slept with like a knife next to my bed and a flashlight. I was afraid, like, what if, I'd get used to seeing people in my room. So, what if I wake up and it's a real person?
Ooh, oh my gosh. So luckily you got off the gluten. I've never heard that story. I don't remember you saying that last year. So interesting. We're tweeting that out, I'm sure, that watch out for this because this is very important. So let's talk about what you do with a typical client. So if I were to go in, what kind of method, what do you say to them?
Sure. Well, we start out with an initial consultation, which is just to see kind of what your health goals are, what you're looking for, whether I might be a good fit or another practitioner might be a good fit, because I'm not the right fit for everyone, definitely. And so that's the first step. And then from there, I give you a metabolic assessment, which is a questionnaire that kind of assesses all of the different symptoms in your system. So we're looking at your thyroid, your brain, your nervous system, your blood sugar, all of those things to really get a full picture of you, because everything's connected. So yeah, you might have some fatigue, and that could be connected to your thyroid, your digestion, your blood sugar, your brain, your neurotransmitters. So we get a full picture from there. And then I also have you send in any blood work, stool tests, urine tests, to see what has been going on there, as well as a background health history and a diet log. So lots of stuff I have you send in. We get as much of a picture as we can, and then we create a plan together for how to work on whatever your health goals are.
And does the plan last for like a year, a month, or is that something you discuss too during that consultation?
Yeah, we discussed during the consultation. I usually 1 to 3 months are what I set people up on initially. So if they have a lot of stuff going on, particularly if it's an autoimmune condition or they have some sort of mental illness issues going on, then usually we start with a 3-month protocol and then month to month after that.
Now, do they come to you when they found out that they're like celiac or they're gluten free, or that they've already taken a few steps, or are they first coming to you to find that stuff out too?
I wish that people would come to me as they were like trying to find those things, but so often I see people after they've exhausted other options.
Frustrated, yes. And that's exactly what happened to me too. Yes, and that's typical.
But, and I commonly see people that have been diagnosed with IBS. And I'm pretty frustrated with that terminology. I think a lot of doctors just throw that label and tag on people without actually getting to the root cause of why that person is experiencing the gastrointestinal symptoms that they are. And so they're put on medication and they're never tracked down. What's going on? Is it a food sensitivity, gluten or otherwise? Is it a parasite, Candida, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? What's going on? And I think so often that's not looked at. It's just a label is slapped on somebody and then they're put on drugs the rest of their life.
What kind of drugs would they put on for IBS? I'm curious. Do you know?
You know what? Yeah. So what's fascinating is that often they're put on serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which are antidepressants, because our brain and our gut are so connected that often they're put on antidepressants, Prozac and other ones, because 85%, 90% of the serotonin is actually produced in our gut. And so people that often have IBS, their gut is constantly clenched. They have stress held in their gut, and those are used to deal with that in one piece. But then there's some other drugs that are used. But think
it's really not taking care of the real, the doctor just is giving you a pill. And
and we have to be able to digest our proteins and digest our nutrients in order to produce the neurotransmitters, out of protein, the amino acids that get turned into neurotransmitters. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Digestion and our brain, so connected.
So, and here's that nutritional nerd part. Jennifer is asking, Shane said that he heard on the radio that IBS is a bogus symptom created by doctors.
I kind of think so too. I've had a lot of blowback from saying, there's some of these terminologies that are put on people, IBS, chronic fatigue syndrome, where it's often just a label that, and it stops people from searching for the solution. And sometimes, it makes us feel better to be able to have a label and to be like, okay,
yeah,
that's why I feel that way. But it stops people from seeking out a solution too. And so I agree with that person that I think the IBS label is BS. I think we have to get to the root of why a person is feeling that way. And in the way that they figure out if somebody has IBS, it's not actual testing. It's symptom based. Do you have diarrhea? I don't remember what it is, but do you have a certain amount of diarrhea or constipation every week? Do you have stomach cramps? It's like the things that a lot of people have. And I think it's often used as a way to prescribe medication and not really deal with what's going on. So
good point. Thanks. I want to, now that they've come in and you're talking about, you've gotten some tests back probably too, and now you're telling them, okay, so what would be the first couple pieces of let's see, the nutritional diet part, the lifestyle. What would you start taking out of people's lifestyle? I always say lifestyle. I hate the word diet. Diet.
Right. I'm with you. I hate the word diet. So I'm very anti-gluten. Pretty much anybody comes into my office, they sneeze, and I say, let's see what happens if you go off gluten. Let's test gluten.
I like you so much because of that.
It's a non-digestible protein. Nobody can digest it. Whether you have a sensitivity to it or not, you can't digest it. So you combine that with leaky gut, and you're setting yourself up for disaster. So
let's explain leaky gut real fast too, because that took me a little bit to understand what the heck that was. So tell us what. So the gluten and the leaky gut. Say what the leaky gut means too.
Yeah, so we have these junctions in our intestinal wall, and when we consume foods and after we digest them, the junctions are supposed to open up and allow the digested food proteins to get through into the bloodstream, be transported to wherever it's supposed to go. However, for some people, the junctions in their gut are stuck open. And so that means that undigested food proteins are getting into their bloodstream. And our bodies don't recognize undigested food proteins. So it thinks it's, something bad, like a bacteria or Candida or something. And so it attacks it, and then it remembers it. And every time we consume that food again in the future, our body then releases antibodies, we go into a state of inflammation, and it goes into a state of attack. And I've never seen anybody that is gluten sensitive or celiac disease that doesn't have other food sensitivities too.
Yes, I agree with that. Also, since you mentioned Candida, can you just tell us a little brief, introduction to Candida?
Yeah.
No.
I love talking about all this stuff. Yay. So
Agreed.
Candida, it's a form of yeast, and it's very common, a common thing to have an overgrowth of. We tend to think that somebody only has Candida if they have like vaginal infections or athlete's foot or something like that, or jock itch. But you can have Candida and have it only affect your digestive system. So a person might have a Candida overgrowth and react to the Candida itself or to the byproducts that the Candida produces. When Candida gets out of control, it can actually create leaky gut. So the inflammation actually also causes leaky gut. So it's just an overgrowth of yeast in the system. So we need healthy bacteria. We need a good, there's good yeast also. We need a whole microecology ecosystem in our gut going on. So it's not like we need to just kill everything in our gut, because we need all that good stuff to block out the bad stuff. But often we've been put on so many antibiotics and different things that have destroyed the ecosystem in our gut, and that allows things like Candida to flourish unchecked. And so then we get an overgrowth of yeast, common symptoms, digestive, fatigue, brain fog, and then you have to usually go on an anti-Candida protocol, which is not fun. Usually means removing all the sugars and starches and grains from your diet and fruits from your diet to try to starve that yeast off.
So you starve it off. Thank you for that too. I've researched all that, so I just wanted everybody to know that, because I think it's a part of this digestive system. So now let's talk about those foods that you would take out first, besides gluten.
Besides gluten, okay. So soy. Soy I think is overconsumed in our society. We're told that soy is really, really healthy, but it actually can be very inflammatory. So that's one, that's a common allergen. All grains, it's not just gluten that's an issue. So all grains are an issue. Grains are very inflammatory. They irritate our gut. So, inflammation is supposed to be a good thing. We hurt our knee and we get a scrape, and all of a sudden our system gets inflamed. It goes to that area, protects that area, takes out like byproducts, bad things, heals it, results in some pain. Yay, inflammation. However, when we're in a constant state of inflammation because we're consuming things that we shouldn't, or we're doing things that irritate our gut, then our system is constantly in an inflamed state. It upregulates our immune system and puts us in a dangerous place. So all grains irritate our gut. I
agree with you.
It's ideally when people are diagnosed with celiac disease or any autoimmune disease, they should go off grains for at least a year, calm down the inflammation, stop the irritation on their gut, and they may choose to stay off grains after that. But at least, that's a good step.
That's my next step. I just stopped the grain thing, and I don't miss it.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Anyways, so we just got rid of them. Now, what healthy foods that should we be putting in our digestive system to kind of heal the inflammation? Oh, and we're showing a picture. You had it on your Facebook page. It's a table, and it's like, I'm a huge fan of bring life to your table. And it has the salad. It's grown on the table with the wine it's from one of your articles on Facebook. It's the prettiest picture. It's like, grow your own salad on your table and eat it.
Yay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me back up one thing real quick. The other thing I want to say is you should eliminate any foods you have a sensitivity to. So if you continue to consume foods you have a sensitivity to, that's going to result in inflammation in the gut. For me, it wasn't just gluten. I also have a severe sensitivity to rosemary, white navy beans, and pears, and black pepper. Go figure.
Black pepper? How'd you find that one?
Yeah, I took a food sensitivity test. I wasn't real excited with the results.
Huh.
So, eliminating those things, and then sugar. Sugar is a huge one. Sugar is
Yeah.
one of the most inflammatory things that we can consume. So, decreasing sugar too. Okay, so going on to what should we eat?
Okay. So what should we eat?
So a couple
What's
things that are
left?
really, yes, what's left. So definitely vegetables. Lots and lots of vegetables. That's where we're getting our micronutrients. We're getting all the color in our diet. So having a rainbow of colors, that's definitely a huge piece. Second, consuming some anti-inflammatory herbs and nutrients. So turmeric and ginger, two of my favorite herbs. They're very strongly anti-inflammatory, so they'll help a lot also. And then I would say balancing out your fat intake. We need fat. Fat's good. We have this fear of fat, but we need fat. But we want to have more omega-3 essential fatty acids in our diet than most of us do. So most of us have a lot of omega-6s, which are vegetable oils. If you're consuming a lot of safflower, sunflower oils, safflower, sunflower are the big ones. Sesame, if you're consuming a lot of those, a lot of nuts also, your omega-6, omega-3s can get off balance. So consuming some more sustainably raised fish, flax, chia, seaweed, doing that to kind of reset and bring back up our healthy fats. So getting off trans fats, getting off of not doing as many omega-6s.
No,
So
you don't have to do that forever. I mean, I'm going to try and keep on this diet forever, but some people, you can do it for 1 to 3 months, you were saying. A little bit longer probably is best, right?
I mean, I'm really anti cleanses that put people on a really strict diet for a really short time. That's an unhealthy thing for them to do forever. I believe that we should always be creating lifestyle changes with things that we could do forever. So yeah, you could just reset your system, go off of grains, go off of sugars, eat more omega-3s, eat healthier fats, eat a lot of vegetables. You could do that for a short time, or you could do that forever. But
Very
yeah, you
good.
could do it for a short time. Everyone should do it for a short time. I think everybody should reset their system, 1 to 4 times a year.
You saying everything that the Grain Brain book said too, to the T. So
Oh, good.
I know I'm really impressed with this. So
I haven't even gotten a chance to read it. I bought it, and but I definitely follow what Perlmutter writes. So
yes, so everybody check out Grain Brain because everything Katie's saying right there is totally on what I've been finding out and what I've been doing too. So I want to ask you. There's an exercises and steps to teach teach you and help your digestive. Now, I've never heard of this. So what kind of exercises are there to help us?
yeah. So the first thing I would say is that one of the most inflammatory hormones we create in our body is created from stress. So cortisol. Every time we go into a state of stress, our body releases cortisol to deal with that, and cortisol is very inflammatory. So stress becomes very inflammatory. So anything to calm down the stress in your body is going to calm down inflammation. So that can look different for lots of people. But one thing that's really easy to do is to calm down the stress right before you eat. So when we're in a state of stress, we're in fight or flight. And that means all of our blood is shunted away from our digestive system and it's into our extremities so that we can fight or flight. So all our blood is in our legs, in our arms, and it's not in our organs. It's not in our digestive system. So many of us eat in front of the TV, eat in front of our computer, eat while we're walking or running, or eat while we're driving and having road rage. And so a lot of people, especially people that have been labeled with IBS, are in a state of stress when they're eating, and that means they're not digesting their food. If you're not digesting your food, you're not getting the nutrients out of it, and you're not getting supported by that food, and it's going to not go through you in the right way. It's going to result in diarrhea, or constipation, or stomach cramps. So deep breathing before you eat is huge, and breathing from your diaphragm. So many of us, when we're in a state of stress, we breathe from our chest. It's like that chest breathing where we breathe really fast, and that puts us into more stress. But if you can breathe from your diaphragm, so you're breathing from your belly, so you want your belly to actually go in and out. We have this tendency, we don't want people to see our belly go out. We're like, oh no, I'll look fat. But you need your belly to go out when you breathe. It's a good thing. So we breathe from our belly. It actually calms down the stress and puts us into a state of rest and digest, puts us into a state where we can actually digest our food. So just taking 2 or 3 breaths from your belly before eating will allow you to digest your food better. That's like huge. If we could all do that, as well as not be eating during a state of stress, that would save us. But those deep breaths, anybody can do that.
Yeah, isn't that kind of like what before I would eat when I'm stressed, kind of that comfort food. So that's like really, really bad.
Yeah.
That comfort food just tastes so good, but boy, I bet it doesn't come down very easily into that digestive. So how do you know that you have inflammation? That somebody just asked.
Yeah. So inflammation manifests in different ways for everyone. So it can look like anything. So it's the reason why there's 200 different symptoms associated with gluten sensitivity. So it can be headaches, brain fog, digestive, like gastrointestinal symptoms. For me, if I have black pepper or rosemary, I get what they call postnasal drip, which just means runny nose. And that's just an indication. It's an external indication that something's happening on the inside. There's no one set symptom. So everybody's going to manifest inflammation in a different way. It's just that you need to start paying attention to what doesn't feel good. And what does, there's an indication that something is happening in your body, and it's going to be different for everyone. So it can be acne, psoriasis, eczema. It can be joint pain, digestive symptoms, brain fog. It can really be absolutely anything. And I think what we run into trouble with is we say, oh, it's okay, I can eat that. It only makes my nose runny. But we don't know what's happening within our system. So when our system is in a state of inflammation, it means that it's not dealing with what it should be doing. Like our body should be getting rid of cancer cells. It should be fighting bacteria, viruses, Candida. It should be, keeping us in a healthy state, but instead it's attacking a food that we eat, or attacking, an overgrowth of bacteria, or attacking Candida. So the upregulation of our immune system is going to result in different symptoms for everyone. So there's no easy answer to that, unfortunately.
That was good stuff, though, because, even the nasal drip, that, you don't think of those things. But listening to your body is key. Okay, so our time's up. I could talk to you for a long time. See, it goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, so first off, one of the things I want to tell everybody to go onto nourishedhealth.com, and there's a nice little menu at the top where it says free digestive health support. I want you to click on that, and I want you to you subscribe to her email, by the way. It's amazing. She has great information. But this gets you to, I think it's 3 or 4, Katie. How many?
4-part video series.
4-part, it says right there at the top. 4-part video series, and it's free. And I recommend that. So I'd like all of you to check that out. And Katie, what kind of events are happening for you?
Yeah, so on May 1st, I kick off an online cooking program. So it's a home chef series for an anti-inflammatory diet. So it's supporting people to cook grain-free, dairy-free, soy-free, as well as refined sugar-free, as well as other allergens. It's about intuitive cooking. So instead of having to be stuck following a cookbook, it's all about how do you remake recipes on your own? How do you replace things? How do you cook more intuitively, grabbing what's out of your kitchen, grabbing what's out of your fridge, as opposed to being stuck by a cookbook? Because a lot of us can't eat the stuff that's in the cookbook. So getting us more happy and comfortable in the kitchen. I see too many people that have, they've been given a diagnosis of celiac disease or other food sensitivities or Crohn's disease, and then they don't want to cook anymore and they don't want to eat anymore. And we have to love cooking and eating. It's essential. So,
I love that.
Yeah. So the program is $4.97. If you register before, I think it's before April 15th, it's $3.97. And then I'm also giving your viewers, if they register by the end of this month, they'll get another $100 off. So it'll be $2.97.
Yay,
So
thank you, Katie. That's
yeah,
nice
yeah,
of
they
you.
just need to. So you just fill out an application. I'm not accepting everyone because it's a pretty in-depth, and I'm very involved with everybody that's participating. So you need to fill out an application and then put in the notes section that you are, that you saw this special through this program.
Try and do that, everybody, because it is intuitive. It's a whole different mindset to think of all of the things that you have to think about and cook without going out all the time or getting that packaged food. Rosie from Tacoma Mom Blob, hello. I haven't seen you in a while, so thanks for joining us tonight. Katie, amazing information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. I really appreciate
I'm
you
having you back. Yes.
Hey.
Okay. So if you've been watching GFree and Happy tonight with Katie, and I hope you all check out our website. It has so much good information too. And next week we're doing healthy smoothie recipes live. Until then, have a great GFree and Happy week.